What makes you...
1965 with go-karts, and I can get paid for doing it, you know, enough to live on, and I just love it.
I just love it. I just love every bit of it.
And it could be like a number of other professional or semi-professional sports.
I'm a little more mature travel too.
I certainly enjoy the competition and the camaraderie with the other drivers.
Something I've always wanted to do, and I don't know of anything else I'd be any good at.
You are seeing this raceway from the driver's point of view. The view that up to now has been experienced by only a handful of persons every year. Just a few hundred drivers who can truly be called a breed apart. For their quick thinking, fast acting, instinctive reactions for both speed and for safety. For this is Super Vee, unknown until a few short years ago, a category and competition of auto racing that is drawing the new and more competitive drivers who one day could write the biggest racing headlines of them all. Automobile racing, America's largest non-betting spectator sport, a thrilling blend of man's many dreams and desires. A thrill-a-minute sport that combines cars and tracks and drivers and fans in a way that is ever-changing but always exciting. Racing machines have certainly changed since this car set track records more than 50 years ago. Today, Super Vees are one of the hottest and most challenging cars of them all because they open the door to big-time racing. They provide the proving ground and the wealth of experience so essential if the driver is to move up to the big Indy car competition. Flag. Some of them, like Tom Bagley, race for a living. Howdy Holmes also makes racing his full-time career. And Bill Palmer is still another full-time racer. Jim George has just made the transition from insurance executive to full-time racing driver. Stuart Moore, not only a driver, but a mechanic as well, combines both his loves into this one sport. But then there's Tom Thompson. Off the track, he's a financial systems analyst. Also in finance, Noel Bennett is an investor. Eddie Miller, a contractor. Herm Johnson heads his own custom painting firm. Bob Lazier owns a ski lodge. Bill Alsop operates a company that constructs and installs ski lifts. But career drivers or weekend racers, they all have one thing in common. In these days of mass production, of plastic sameness, of fitting a mold, these are individuals who refuse to fit the mold. Racing drivers are a breed apart. We're behind the scenes in the paddock, the get-ready area for any race. The place where the cars are lined up, checked out, fussed over, lovingly coaxed into top condition. On the track itself, it's just one man and his machine. But what gets him on the track is the teamwork of a tightly knit group, the driver, his mechanic, and often members of the family. With future generations of racers already understudying their parents. They're always ready to share their views, too, to talk about the things uppermost in their minds, racing and cars.
What is it that makes a sports car a Super Vee?
Dick Kramer is asking the question. He's a former racing driver and also president of the Montgomery Ward Auto Club, which sponsors two of the Super Vees in competition.
It's primarily a designation that's created within SCCA for a formula car with a lot of Volkswagen components in it, standard Volkswagen components that are modified for racing.
The car is a very small, very high-powered car with a Volkswagen engine. and there isn't very much to the car other than the suspension and the engine.
Super Vee is a open-wheel racing car, similar to an Indianapolis car that a lot of Americans are familiar with. They're powered by a Volkswagen engine, put out about 160 horsepower, top speeds about the 160-mile-an-hour range.
The open of the chassis to a monocoque and, you know, the wings and different things like that is what makes it different from a Formula Vee, and also being open wheel would make it different from a sports car.
Well, just that they're super fun, I guess. The motor came from the early square-back Type 4 Volkswagens, and although they're highly modified now, they start out life that way. And to differentiate them from regular Formula Vee, which uses the Type 1 motor, they call it Super Vee.
Well, if they have VW engines, what makes the difference in performance between the cars, Bob?
Well, primarily just the care you take to the detailing of what you do with the engines, what you do with the chassis, and you just massage each little piece to get a little quicker or a car handling a little better.
I think it's basically the driver. The driver has to try quite a bit harder because everything is the same.
Control, so the driver's very important here.
That's what we're battling with right now, is trying to figure out how we can go faster than anybody else with the same basic cars everybody else has got. Just a lot of little things that take probably a year or two to pick up, or maybe even 5 or 6 years to pick up.
Well, if you try and make it handle better and get the best engine builder you can, and then it's pretty much up to the driver.
The elements are all there, but it's how you arrange them and how you get the most out of them to get the most horsepower.
Howdy, tell us a little about this car. Is this an expensive automobile, race automobile, or is this a low cost compared to other racing classes?
Well, you're absolutely right. Compared to other racing classes, it is a low-cost vehicle. As the car sits right now, or if one would want to go out and buy a new one, you'd have to invest about $20,000 to have a car, 2 spare motors, and a few extra wheels, so that you'd have enough equipment to be competitive.
When Super Vees first became a professional racing series in the early 1970s, they raced only on road courses. But now, built as mini Indy cars, they are competing on oval tracks as well. They race at Trenton in New Jersey, at Lexington's Mid-Ohio Circuit, at Seattle, at Milwaukee, at many courses, such as Nelson's Ledges in Ohio, Watkins Glen in New York, Elkhart Lake Sport Park, a score of tracks in both the United States and Canada.
How does that differ insofar as your driving style, Jim?
Smoothness really counts on an oval. You have to be as precise as possible, because even the smallest change in direction scrubs off an enormous amount of speed here on an oval.
There's other things to consider, too. In oval racing, you don't do as much braking and you don't do any shifting.
How about the young people who are considering entering racing as amateurs? Is this a good class of car for them? Are there a lot of these cars around, and are there...
The best, because you have an amateur division, you have a professional division, and there's enough cars. I would venture to say that there's probably 400 to 600 Super Vees in the country. So it gives someone who's new and starting out, you have enough horsepower in these cars to get an idea of what a real race car is like.
It's a pretty good entry point. I think there are some smaller classes in the SCCA or the Sports Car Club of America that might be a little bit more economical and give you the same experience. It depends on the individual, though. If you're willing to take your time and not try to go out and win the first race, there's certainly nothing wrong with starting professionally and run the Super Vee.
I have to think that it's probably the best thing that's happened to young drivers' racing careers here in the States ever. It allows you to get into big league racing, race in front of good crowds, and it also gives you the experience to race in front of the big teams. What's more, USAC has never really been able to have super speedway experience for young drivers. They'd have to go directly from midget cars, which don't necessarily apply to the championship division. And now they've got a vehicle where people can kind of test their wings, as it were.
Yes, Super Vee offers a chance to develop and refine the techniques of driving that a man or a woman must have if he or she is to move into the front ranks of all racing. A racing season is a lot of things. It's the fun and excitement of the race itself. and its long days and nights of demanding behind-the-scenes work. Its thrill, the checkered flag. Its disappointment, the yellow flag. It's the heartbreak of failing to qualify. Perhaps not even being able to leave the track under your own power. But up or down, win or lose, there's one thing for sure. Most will be back to race again and again. Because, like a disease, racing gets into the blood, and there's no cure. And racing gets into the blood of the fans as well as the drivers. The racing weekend is something special for the tens of thousands who come to see the action. It's a holiday. It's a family picnic. It's bratwurst and beer. It's soda pop and cotton candy. And occasionally, it's also rain. But rain, like this heavy drizzle in Seattle, can't dampen the enthusiasm of the true race fan. In fact, it adds to the thrill and excitement. A race brings out fans from all over the United States and Canada. And it attracts its share of celebrities, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start the race in a few moments, and Miss Zsa Zsa Gabor is going to give the command to these handsome young drivers.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
This is a tense moment in any race as they follow the pace car, weaving back and forth to warm up tires and check handling. But this event, like all of them, really started the day before, during the time trial, to determine the lucky drivers to make it to the main event. Because not everyone who wants to compete is fast enough.
There must be a number of mini Indy cars around here. Will they all race tomorrow, or is there a limit?
Well, at every type of track, be it an oval track or a road racing course, they have X number of cars are allowed per mile. At this track, they will allow 22. It's a mile-long track. They'll allow 22 cars to start. There are, however, 37 cars entered.
There are the lucky ones out there right now. Yes, these racing cars really burn up the track.
Do you think the popular concept about racing being dangerous is accurate?
It's dangerous, but so is driving on the freeway.
With today's cars and the equipment that we have, the safety equipment, the design of the cars, the clothes we wear, and after all, the ultimate safety device is the driver himself.
I guess one of the old adages is that you're going to finish first you have to finish. So there's a lot of attention paid to detail. Everyone who's racing wants to be on the track that day, so everybody is concentrating 100% on what they're doing, which is different than, let's say, driving down the freeway where someone's mind may wander and maybe thinking about something else.
Safety is the biggest factor that all of the sanctioning bodies in international road racing are concerned with. They work with catch fences in case the cars go off. We have the type of construction within the race cars is oriented 100% towards safety. The weight limits are all adequate enough so that you can put in the safety equipment. So I think it may be a touch dangerous, but I think it's really offset with a conscientious effort towards safety.
Well, when you get a car ready for a race, I'm sure you're concerned, too, about speed. But what comes first, speed or safety?
Oh, without any question, safety. In order to win a race, you have to finish the race, okay? And it has to be a safe car to do that.
I'd say safety is very, very important. Again, just a safe car has a lot better chance of finishing, so safety is pretty high on my list.
I think I'd honestly have to say speed, but if the car isn't safe, then you don't feel like going fast.
The two go together, I think, because a great deal of going fast in a race car has to do with the driver's confidence.
The longer you know these drivers, the more you talk about them and see them in action, the more you're aware of their strong emphasis upon one guiding principle, upon the importance of safety. Safety in car design, safety in driving, safety off the track as well as on. And the place where it all pays off is here, on the day of the race. Today, we're in the rolling hills of mid-Ohio at Lexington. The crowd gathers, and the excitement mounts. For the fans, it is getting the best possible vantage point, perhaps a favorite corner, to capture every bit of action and excitement. For the mechanics, it's being sure they hear that certain sweet, reassuring sound of a finely tuned engine. For the drivers, it's fighting tension, psyching themselves up for the moment the starting flag drops. And no car can go out on the track unless it first passes a rigid technical and safety inspection by race officials, an inspection that is repeated on the 3 top placing cars after the race is ended to make sure they have adhered to all specifications. We're watching SCCA Professional Racing Technical Administrator John Tamanis inspect Jim George's car.
Front suspension looks good. No play in the wheel bearings. Brake fluid level's good. Good fitting gas cap. Throttle springs look good. Rear suspension looks good. Got the calipers bolt safety wired up. That looks real good. Okay. I think we're okay for this event. We give you a tech sticker. The Mid-Ohio Super Vee race.
Attention all Super Vee drivers. Drivers meeting in the pit area in 10 minutes.
This meeting is a must before every race.
Okay, fine. A couple of points to cover. First of all, we've got a very tight first turn and a bridge down there. I checked the prize money. There'll be no prizes for the first guy under the bridge. So let's have a good, safe start, stay apart, and let's all get out on the other side. Pole car will bring you up the hill slow. You want a nice gradual accelerating pace coming up the hill, and you'll get the green flag the first time around. A couple of questions. The grass is awful wet. If you get off course, you may slide for a good distance. But when you're off course, you're under control and command of the corner captain. He knows more about where it's safe on that corner than you do. So please put your cars where you're instructed to. Let's have a good, safe race, and we'll see you on the grid at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Welcome to the Robert Bosch Super Vee Gold Cup race. 25 laps, totaling 60 miles. The crowd that has gathered all around this scenic 2.4-mile track now numbers 25,000, all avid racing fans. And all eyes are on the Super Vees as they follow the pace car around the track. Green flag, and here come the Super Vees. Car 61, Herm Johnson, jumps from the second row position to take the lead. Bob Lazier, car 2, is right on his heels. Roger Bighouse is 3rd. Harry MacDonald 4th. Billy McConnell is 5th, and Tom Bagley 6th. 34 cars in the running. And now, as they start the second lap, the order is Johnson, Lazier, Bighouse, and MacDonald. Car 3, Ted Field, is starting to smoke. Lap 3, and we have a new leader. Bob Lazier passes Herm Johnson as they race into turn 7. Meanwhile, Tom Bagley is moving up as everyone expected. He has now jumped from 6th position to 3rd, right behind Lazier and Johnson. McDonald is still in 4th place. Stuart Moore has moved up to 5th. Bighouse is in 6th, and Phil Scott lies 7th. Bagley is still in 3rd as the leaders pull away from the pack. Bighouse, car 18, moves up to 5th position, while McDonald hangs in there in 4th. Bob Lazier from Vail, Colorado, continues to lead. Herm Johnson, still running 2nd, is starting to smoke. Tom Bagley, still behind the leaders, is running 3rd, and still holding off Bighouse, who's in 4th. McDonald 5th, and Billy McConnell 6th. Now lap 12 of 25 laps, almost halfway through this 60-mile race. 16, Billy McConnell, and 10, Bennett make contact at station 8, and Bennett hits the guardrail. It's a bad break, but both drivers are okay. The miscues bring out a yellow. And here, Tommy Thompson and Jerry Brosolo hold positions, as do all the drivers responding to the yellow flag. Green flag again, and car 2, Bob Lazier, continues to pull away to stretch his lead. Now Herm Johnson is really smoking out there. Tom Bagley is coming up fast, and he's worth watching. Tom chalked up the highest qualifying speed here on the track yesterday, 92.21 miles an hour. Herm Johnson clocked up 91.82, and Lazier 91.43. Close. It's the black flag in the pits for car 61. Herm Johnson, who's had that smoking problem almost from the start. Uh-oh, that's Tommy Thompson losing it on the carousel. Corner 15. But he cuts across the pit road, and he's back on the track. Tommy makes a great recovery. He loses only a few seconds. But of course, in this type of racing, every second is crucial. Lazier is beginning to lap the slower cars. Right now, passing number 45, Bill Kruger. Uh-oh, Big House appears to be blocking Peter Moody. That's not sporting, you know. If he continues that, he could be in trouble. It's the 19th lap, and Lazier has now built a 5.5-second lead over Bagley. This race was expected to be a close one between these two cars, and that's what it's turning out to be. You can see that Bagley, in car number 1, is using all his skill and determination to whittle away Lazier's lead. And behind Lazier and Bagley come Roger Big House in 3rd and Peter Moody in 4th. Bill Scott is 5th. On the backstretch, Lazier still hangs on to his lead, but Bagley continues to nibble at his heels. Both now way ahead of the pack. The crowd here today is really getting its money's worth. The competition is brutal. 34 men fighting it out. Dog eat dog, all of them with a single goal, to be number 1 at the checkered flag. Lazier and Bagley still 1st and 2nd, and behind them, Roger Big House, Peter Moody, and Billy Scott jockey for position. Brosolo and Big House rub wheels as they round corner 8. Could that be the result of blocking? These Super Vees are really eating up the track out there, probably doing 120 and more on the straightaway. On a track like this, every corner, every turn means a new challenge and demands the utmost in safety and skill from every driver. Only 3 laps left, and the excitement among the fans is mounting as they watch 2 men who have been leaders in the season. Bagley and Lazier battle it out for number 1. Lazier continues to hold the lead, but now it looks as though Bagley is starting to gain. Here come the rest of the pack, around corner 15, way behind the 2 leaders. Last lap, ladies and gentlemen, and Bagley is moving up fast, pushing with every ounce of power. Can he overtake Lazier? And this crowd of 25,000 is getting the action they came here to see. Checkered flag. Lazier comes in 1st, just 5 seconds ahead of Bagley to win this Mid-Ohio race and build up precious points to add to his score in this year's Gold Cup competition. In Mid-Ohio, Bob Lazier uncorks the bubbly. In Milwaukee, Noel Bennett collects the winner's due. Trenton, Tom Bagley takes the cup. Another day, on another track, the winner might be George, or Holmes, or Miller, or any one of the other new young giants of racing. But no matter how tough the fight, no matter how fierce the competition, there is one element that is foremost in all of their minds. Jim George puts it into words.
I want to drive safely, and I hope you do too.